Trump and his wife Melania went to California. Melania seemed very excited to see a very attractive governor, very alpha male. I'm not real into all that alpha beta stuff, but Governor Newsom, Kylie, put up the still. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, giving him the business. And look at how Trump stands and he's like leaned at an angle. Pumps, have you seen the stuff online where it's like that's like a sign of dementia or something?
Yes, I have seen that for several months, maybe even closer to a year. But that is one of the biggest tells on dementia patients is they can't stand upright and they hold their hands in weird spots. And he does both. And I just want to say, cheers to Gavin Newsom. Apparently, Trump did not invite him to greet him. And Newsom was like, tough shit, I'm going. And he got right in his face, put his finger right in his chest. I was so pleased with that because you have to call out a bully. And above all else, Trump is a bully.
And let's just discuss, just for the sake of being petty, you noticed when Melania at the inauguration, and any time for that matter, whenever she has to like kiss Trump, you can like feel the secondhand cringe coming off of her. It's palpable. And then Newsom goes in, and I mean, she was beaming. It was a grin from ear to ear. She enthusiastically pecked the governor on the cheek. And I just think that I thought it was just golden. Okay. Next up, let's move on to Trump's other wife, Elon Musk. Everybody that has a sense of empathy or decency or decorum or integrity is disgusted by Elon Musk. So here is Musk over the weekend, and I want to play this clip for you all.
I think there is value to a culture, and we don't want Japan to disappear. We don't want Italy as a culture to disappear. We don't want France as a culture to disappear. I think we have to maintain the sort of reasonable cultural identity of the various countries, or they simply will not be those countries.
Okay,
Italy to a culture.
So for those of you listening, he is on stage in Italy spewing fascist stuff. And this Italian woman sitting next to him is so uncomfortable. The moderator can tell that she is just wanting to crawl out of her skin. So she moves the table over so the lady sitting next to Musk can move her chair over because she cannot get far enough away from him, because that's how disgusting he is. And that's how disgusting the things that he says are.
It's interesting to me. I know we pointed out all the time that it was a female that was like, I'm not going to sit here next to this fascist racist and be in the same shot with him. I'm going to physically move my chair while he is talking. And I noticed that Elon Musk definitely noticed that she did it. And good for her, good for Italy. Elon Musk is just stanky. He is the stankiest person I have ever seen. He has more money than anybody on the planet, and all he does is spew racism and discontent.
Yes, and more than anything, especially in Europe, it is his fascist language is not as easily forgotten. Now, Italy has its own problems with Giorgia Meloni, who tries to butter up next to Elon Musk, but Italians are independent thinkers. And when you get on a forum like that and you just did back-to-back Nazi salutes and are spewing that type of fascist nationalism, and that was the language he was using, people that have a very low intellect fall prey to this kind of tribalist language. Those who have a deeper intellect know how intellectually lazy the things that he was saying are, like you're not going to have a culture and all of those things are very Hitler-esque. But here's how Musk needs to be responded to. Let's listen to the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker.
Nazis across the United States celebrated when he did that. That should be some indication to everybody about why this is so important for him to call out. Now, What has he followed up with? Jokes about Nazis. Jokes, like it's okay. And then showing up in a video presentation to the far right folks who are the most anti-Semitic in German politics, and and standing up for them and telling them, I'm for you. That's bad for the United States. It's bad for Jews across the world. It's bad for Germany. And President Trump ought to be calling that out. If he doesn't agree with Elon Musk, if he doesn't agree with two Sig Heils at his own rally and backing a party that backs Nazis, then he ought to say so. Why isn't Donald Trump speaking out?
Okay, this is spot on. And first and foremost, Trump is never going to speak out against this. If you go back to Charlottesville, if you go back to the stand back and stand by, his big tent party that he claims that he's made is a tent that allows for white supremacist, anti-Semitic, overt racist overtones and undertones permeated throughout it. What Elon Musk did with the back-to-back Sig Heils was intentional. It was intentional, and all of the Nazis and white supremacist groups really picked it up. Now, of note here, Donald Trump's favorite child, by all accounts, just as an observer, seems to be Ivanka. And she is Jewish, and her husband is Jewish. And it's amazing to me how, like we looked at the other day, the ADL, how there's a movement in some Jewish circles where they're making space for this. And I don't know if this has to do with what Trump said about cleaning out Gaza, and that Jared Kushner had talked about wanting to build condos there. But there's something really bizarre going on to where when we were growing up, we all adamantly opposed Nazism. Like, it was just like, if somebody were to hail Hitler or do anything like that, it was beyond the pale. And this normalization of this is really, really terrifying to me.
Well, what's interesting about it is Ivanka and Jared, Jewish, like you said, but they should be the people that go to Trump and say, this is unacceptable. This can't go on. But this is a case of, we don't give a shit because it doesn't affect us personally. We're in positions of power. We're getting money from the Saudis. So why do we care what the normal average Jewish person, what they have to deal with in terms of anti-Semitism? They don't care. It is so selfish. It's so entitled. And it's a sad state of affairs when you have a Jewish daughter and you don't give a shit enough to stand up for your Jewish grandchildren.
And it's a really sad state of affairs when you know what happened in World War II, and that anti-Semitism is a virus that a lot of other racist ideologies stem from, because not only were the Jewish people put in concentration camps and mass murdered, gay people, women, children, any sort of marginalized group in Nazi Germany fell under that. So once you allow space for anti-Semitism, you allow space for everything underneath that, with the exception of waspy white supremacy. All right. We are going to read a quick ad. Please don't get mad. Support us by supporting our sponsors. Pumps, I have to tell you, I found out that some of my personal information was online and I didn't know what to do. So I found this app called DeleteMe. And DeleteMe, I can personally recommend, is a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers online. It's really been a game changer for me.
I didn't really understand what a data broker was until that happened to you. And the fact that they can get your social security number, your contact information, and your family's information is terrifying. So this is such an important app, particularly at this time.
Listener, take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe, now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your DeleteMe plan by texting IHIP to 64000. Again, all you have to do is text IHIP to 64000. That's IHIP to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. Please see terms for details. Okay, next up, I would like to discuss Lady Graham. And this guy, I mean, it's just ever since John McCain died, he's just been all over the place. I mean, I think it's like he can't really function. He's right, he's left, he's up, he's down, he sucks up to Trump. Trump is dangerous. If the Republican Party appoints Trump, we're going to pay for it forever, blah, blah. And then he did that, God bless Donald Trump. He's basically boodle baby crying on Fox News during the last election, begging everybody to send money to Trump. It is pathetic. Kylie, play the clip.
Do you believe that President Trump was wrong to issue these blanket pardons to the January 6th
Number one,
defendants?
he had the legal authority to do it, but I fear that you will get more violence. Pardoning the people who went into the Capitol and beat up a police officer violently, I think was a mistake, because it seems to suggest that's an okay thing to do.
Okay, Lindsay, duh.
Right.
Everybody, duh. And everybody now acting like, oh my God, this was the wrong message. This was the wrong thing to do. I don't know what campaign they watched,
Right.
but the one that I watched, he said very crystal clear, black and white, I am going to release every single January 6th criminal, which he referred to as hostages. This is no surprise. Where was your outrage prior? Where was your outrage when people were trying to save democracy?
Well, he didn't have any outrage because he has bent the knee, and he's the very definition, like all these men that just bend the knee to Trump that purport to be alpha males. It's so gross, because Lindsey Graham should be ashamed of himself. He should have taken care of this during the campaign, like you said. It is absolutely unforgivable that the leader of the Proud Boys was released. The leader of the Oath Keepers was released. And we're talking about all this because Trump is a white supremacist. He hopes, I mean, in my opinion, he has no problem with further violence in his name. Period. Full stop.
And I would just say Lindsey Graham should be ashamed of himself because of the duplicity that he leads in his personal life. And it's been widely reported. And I think there's nothing more abhorrent than using wedge issues for a personal thing to try to overcome something that you personally feel inside of you to diminish further marginalized people. And those of you that follow politics know exactly what I'm talking about. Thanks for joining us today. We make sure you subscribe and like, and we will see you all tomorrow.